Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing good. I'm doing okay. I thought I'd roll some cigarettes and talk to you while I was doing that. I watched Bruce Seasall had a surprise live stream and he was talking about the fake sun that China put up once before and again yesterday, I think he said. And I'm going to share a link to that live stream because it's packed full of information. It's really interesting. So I'm going to drop a link for that. And now I'm watching um, a video on triangulations in um, relationships. If you've ever had somebody like always keep somebody around in some extreme. Um, I don't know, it's hard to explain unless you've actually been through it. But if you're living with somebody or been around anybody in your life that is always ready to move on, if you don't abide by their whims, I don't know if you've ever been around people like that, but yeah, that's that's what I'm listening to. It's just not that I don't know it because I don't expect loving responses from anybody like that, like true love, like normal people do, um, out of somebody that's not capable of it. So your first thing is to realize that um it's never going to get to that level if you're with somebody and the responses aren't, I mean, they don't have to be exactly what you would say or do, but close enough where it wouldn't leave any doubt in your mind. Like when you're working with people or you tell a kid to do something, just normal responses that you would expect out of a decent human being, you know, not something that's like adverse or so strange that it leaves you wondering if you're living in a world of wonderment. It might be a problem. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Um, got some work done earlier and um, got the furnace fixed for winter. So, and it feels good to warm up the floors. The wood heat is good, and it's always great to have that, especially sub-zero. Um, and it is, well, it's a three-bedroom house, so it's, yeah, turned one into a laundry room now. So there's still room for a bed in there, but anyway. So, and I can't remember the square footage of it right now. I'm not even going to try today. Um, yeah, it's not a math day for me. I have my moments, where I actually will. I mean, I do naturally look at numbers and I'll add them or figure them in or something. It's just a natural way of like my upbringing. Um, but like people nowadays are really connecting those type of things, but it was kind of rare. Um, well, I was always a strange kid. Probably you're thinking, no doubt, and I was a very strange teenager and um, the weirdest adult I ever knew back in my times, but I don't know, but I think there was ones that were far more weird than I was. It's just that I wasn't aware of it. I'm not talking about mentally ill and deranged or anything like that. I'm just talking odd compared to a lot of people, anyone actually. So, Yeah. So, yeah, I get sick of people bouncing around with their feelings with me, um, and then calling it love the whole time. I can't do that because, I mean, they say actions speak louder than words, but what speaks even louder than that is your instincts and what you just know to be true, no matter who says what. Those are, they never fail. They will not fail you. It's a real thing. So, yeah, I just heard a chunk of wood fall against the door in my stove. I had enough in there where when it burnt down, there'll be coals and there's a big one on top. And it must have just, it slid a little bit. But yeah, I've got it braced in there so it can't get out. I mean, with the stove itself has, um, I have a, well, it's got a handle, but that part broke off, but I have it wedged with a shovel that I clean it out with. It's goes with the stove, but it's very old. But and there's like that, and it's cast iron, so it's not like something you can't weld. You can now; they can repair cast iron, but there's really no need. It works just the way it would be, and it's expensive, and it would have to be somebody that had portable capabilities. And even with Doug, with his wire feed, I'm sure he could do something. I don't know. I'm sure he could. I can't remember what it was that actually would repair cast iron. I have to look into that. Seems like I heard something about it a while back here. Um, I don't know right now today. Just the word cast or casket, you know, things like that they actually do. They're not coincidences in languages, and like how you'll hear other in languages that could sound like something profane to us, um, is actually maybe comprised of two words in another language. It's all planned out. It's literally English is the most satanic, um, because it's everybody's vocabulary. All it is the the language of Babel. It's everybody is represented in this giant slang of a language. You know, might notice around the world we all like to get what other people's slangs are. Doug has a friend that he talks to in Russia. They both were like stacking wood on the same day and talking about their trucks or whatever, And Doug said, gotcha. And this guy, Kay, wrote back, um, over here in Russia, gotcha means um, biting the head off a mouse. I think is, yeah, biting the head off a mouse is gotcha in Russian, and and I thought that was really really ironic. Like Doug explained it to him, like gotcha, like I understand what you just said, or like got it or whatever. But just and him learning that slang and then translating it back. That's pretty cool. So stuff like that, or like the word blimey or how they use bloody or, different, or a, you know, or let's see, y'all and Ewans, and I mean, just the list goes on and on. It's pretty funny just within the slang of different areas of the world, too, you know, making up words that really aren't even words, you know. That was somebody who was deaf up in Canada. They said, A. Or maybe it was somebody from Minnesota that went up to Canada and is deaf and blind, and they got lost. I know someone like that. Well, they didn't really get lost, not up in Canada, but they just got lost. It's like I said on Brucey's All live stream. I fell in love with a rock once upon a time because he was talking about how you think like a rock is just like, I'm paraphrasing, that inanimate object or something, So I do love rocks. But yeah, when you fall in love with somebody that has the personality of a rock. But the thing is, didn't display that at all when you first met them, but then showed who they really were after a while. That's the hook, the catch, you know. Like, I still love you as much as I can, you know. As much as the person lets us is all we can do. On their level, you know. I mean, I wouldn't want to be like that. Wouldn't want to be like you. Oh, I don't care what you do. I would not want to be like you. So, yeah, that about says that. How I feel about all that. I'm not going to go acting like people treat me just because that's their personality, and they wished I would. I've even been set up by my ex, fucking set up, and it didn't work, just to try and clean his slate, you know. But the funniest thing, before I kicked him out, I had these two gay friends. Well, they were bi. And I asked them if they would do me a favor and hit on them. I said, because I couldn't prove it for sure. And I wanted to know for sure. And these were people that I had been talking to and met. And he didn't know them well. And I did. And they weren't too pleased with men in their lives at that time. And it was the perfect situation, if you see what I mean. And yeah, I definitively found out, and I confronted and asked, so are you going to call my friends a liar? Is that what's going to happen right now? Or are you going to admit it? So, and that's how I confront things in my life. I've learned to deal with them as they come and just confront it all and not back down away from who I am and not bend my ways no matter what anybody wants to do to me or what they want to say. I don't care. Have at it. If I do get cut off, I deep clean this. I hope it doesn't do that to me, but once in a while it does happen. I think they are wearing out, so yeah. Um won't be long, a month or so here. I'm going to get my room squared away and my desk set up again. I had it set up at once upon a time, and then all kinds of tragedies happened. Just, well, you know what I call a tragedy? Um, Being so tired you can't hardly function. I've really gotten, I've had to put on the anger situation is the only way to stop the nonsense sometimes. Otherwise, I don't even like going there. I hate that within myself. But I have to be like that with some people, you know. And I do not like it at all when I feel like I have to be like that, you know. It's like a rarity. But like I say, it's about every few months, it seems. I think is the probably no, you know what? I'm gonna let you use your imagination on what I'm gonna say because I'm not gonna give AI or anybody evil any ideas on my operating abilities in my life, you know. I'll tell you how I'm doing, like if I'm exercising or what I'm eating or something like that. But as far as what I can tolerate or if I can tolerate it all is none of their business. And what average human capabilities of that, I'm not gonna let them know shit. Not really. They can only guess because I keep going stronger than they think I will. So that just freaks them out anyway. You know, just keep going, you know. Bums them out too because they don't have that drive. Especially if they think they can take your happy away and they can't, you know. That's don't ever let them steal your smile or your laughter, your sense of humor, or none of that. It isn't worth it, you know, just to feel sad for people that really don't care about you, you know. I'd rather have an enemy that freaking growled right in my face than I would somebody pretend to love me, you know. I actually have respect for the top Luciferian gang stalker in the United States of America because, in one respect, I know he respects me on that level because I won't back down and I don't have fear. But also the fact that a couple of people prayed for him and he isn't as hateful as he was. So um, that's being worked on as we speak by people that deal with matters of the heart and the soul within people. So, yeah, there's a lot of heavy stuff going on in the world behind the scenes, you know. Excuse me a minute. Sip of coffee. Cheers. Yum. Love my coffee. I made spaghetti last night. Talk about yum. It turned out great. Made my own sauce and put mozzarella on it too. That was good. So, um, I was thinking about you can take an egg and put the noodles in the bottom of a like a baking dish or whatever you have, and you take one egg and beat it up and drizzle it over the noodles. That's all it takes for like a baking dish size, just about any size. I've used more or less noodles, and it works out the whole time. And then take your extra sauce and spread that around there and put your cheese on top. And when the cheese is melted, the egg is cooked in the noodles together. And it tastes like, well, what it is a spaghetti pie, is what it's called. I thought about making that tonight, and I still might because it's a lot easier to eat than spaghetti. But I don't know. I'm considering it. Maybe not. It was pretty good just the way it is, and I can warm it up. So yeah. But I made enough where there'd be leftovers because I get sick of cooking. Sometimes. Excuse me. You know what sounds good? Fresh baked chocolate chip cookies. I haven't had any of those for, I bet, literally at least 10 years, maybe more. But I've made so many tens of thousands of cookies in my life. I started making just like, oh, like a cake pan or bars, out of cookie bars instead because it gets tedious making every single little cookie. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I would just make bars out of it. It tastes the same. I can close my eyes and pretend somebody cared enough to make circles out of it, because I don't care anymore. But they say we don't play the same game anyway. I don't even play games. I detest them unless it's sports or board games and then I'm not really even playing, I'm competing for the most part, to be honest. You know, and a lot of people don't think that's very fun when they're around somebody like super competitive or something. But it's like, well, if you're gonna do it, whatever, or don't do it. However and whatever. If you don't excel in it, then maybe don't do it. It's just like a man that has to compete in women's sports because he can't win in the male Olympics, but he can swim against the women. Piece of shit. Still a man. I mean, you don't call a woman that's had a mastectomy a man just because she had removed a part of herself or had to. So they say, and a lot of that, along with hysterectomies, are lies and scams too. So for anybody facing any of those types of things, oh man, I can't tell you. Uh, Medically, I can't tell you what you should do in that type of situation, but personally, I can tell you that I would take care of things naturally, and there are other ways to go about things in life. And I would exhaust every measure before I let somebody chop away at me, you know. So yeah, and these people that let children have any type of altering steroids or whatever, um, hormone blockers, and that's child abuse. Period. Damn sure is. I like there's a meme I shared on Facebook. It's a person that said, if my parents had let me be what I wanted to be when I was a kid, I would have a parrot, a hooked arm, a peg leg, and something else. If he would have been a pirate. So, a pirate with a hooked leg or a peg leg, a hook arm, and a parrot or whatever. And that's true. I wanted to be Superman. I freaked my grandpa out. I put a towel around my neck, my friend and I, and we'd jump off a half wall he had in the middle of a hill, kind of. Well, I jumped off. The one in the backyard was very tall, and I just freaked him right out. He used to watch me a little more than my parents. So, yeah, my poor grandpa, I freaked him out. But yeah, anyway. So, if I had my way, I would have been Superman. I would have been a man, and my grandchildren wouldn't be here. You know, all girls. And that's another prayer of mine that came through, that the family that I had married in, the father of my son, that what's the way to put that? Well, they abuse their own sons in every way possible, the whole for generations, in the same, the girls too. But it was especially important for them to destroy each other's manhood, you know. And I wasn't going to let that go on into another generation. Something instinctively told me to ask God to not let me have any grandsons from that bloodline. And I don't. My prayer came true, and I told my daughter in law they were trying for a boy, and I'm like, don't count on it. It's not that I always have my wishes come true or respected when I ask God for something, but looking out for people in the world and looking out for the world is a really good thing to pray about and pray for, especially when you know people personally and you could do or say something to stop some of the craziness, like the generational curses stop with me in my bloodline. So, and there you have it. It's a decision you make, and you say that's it right there. Even if you already have kids and they don't display the same, it doesn't matter. You still put it in the ether. You're still here doing that. And it's heard. It's heard around the world right now. As I'm thinking and talking, many people, just like you, where you think or talk, it's all out in the ether. You know? And I'm convinced that every thought is pre thought by God and works together as a giant symphony. Satan throws his wrench in there, giving us a choice. It's not really, it is free will. That's what makes it free will. But the will of God is free within itself, more freeing, because you can realize that this is temporary and you're an internal being. Um, I like to say a forever being, because internal, when people say that, implies inside, you know, um, a forever being kind of describes a freedom that you could gain of being a true creator aside from just being a child of God. People say, oh, we're all creators. No, you get your whims answered in this ether by Satan or by striving for it physically and praying to God that you don't get cremated in the meantime. There's no in between on this stuff. So you always got to ask yourself when somebody's kind of like all happy for no flipping reason. I'm not talking like, oh, like I'm happy every day, because I am. I'm just talking about these people that really aren't